All right, let's dive in and decode the world of cybersecurity. It's a topic that's all around us, affecting every single one of us every day, whether we realize it or not. So let's get into it.
Okay, let me kick things off with a question for you. If you had to name your most valuable possession, what would it be? Your car, your house, maybe something sentimental, a family heirloom?
Well, think about this. In the world we live in now, the answer might actually be your data. Seriously. Your photos, your private messages, all your financial info, your digital identity, it's all out there, and it is incredibly valuable. And that is why protecting it is so important.
To really get a handle on how to protect all that stuff, you first have to see the digital world for what it is. It's basically a battlefield. It's this invisible, non-stop struggle where information, our information, is the ultimate prize.
And this right here is where cybersecurity comes into play. When you boil it all down, it's just the practice to protecting all of our digital stuff. We're talking networks, devices, people, and of course, data. It's about keeping it all safe from anyone who shouldn't have access to it, plain and simple.
Now, you can't have a battlefield without two opposing sides, right? And in the world of cybersecurity, it's no different. So, it's time to meet the adversaries.
The whole conflict really comes down to two main groups. On one side, you've got the threat actors. These are the folks trying to break in. And on the other side, you have the cybersecurity professionals. They're the ones building the walls and standing guard.
So, who exactly are these threat actors? Well, the term is pretty broad on purpose. It could be just one person trying to nab some credit card numbers, or a huge organized crime group, or even a government-backed operation. But what really ties them all together is their goal, to find a weakness and exploit it for their own gain.
And I'm sure you've heard the term hacker, right? In this context, a hacker is someone who's using their tech skills to get into places they're not supposed to be. Computer systems, networks, you name it. And almost always they're not doing it for fun, they're doing it with malicious intent.
Okay, so how do these attackers actually, attack? Well, they've got a whole playbook of tricks and tools designed to fool us, get around our defenses, and break through. Let's take a peek at some of their go-to moves.
Phishing is probably the most classic example. It's simple, but man, is it dangerous. It's basically a con. An attacker sends you a message that looks legit, like an urgent alert from your bank, to trick you into clicking a bad link or giving up your password. A huge tip here is to always be skeptical of anything that creates a sense of panic. This is still one of the most effective attacks out there, because it targets people, not just computers.
And a lot of the time, a phishing email is just the delivery truck for the attacker's real weapon, malware. Now, malware is a catch-all term for any kind of software that's built to cause harm. Think of it like a digital virus or a weapon that can steal your data or even crash your machine.
One of the absolute nastiest types of malware is ransomware. Here's how it works. An attacker breaks in, scrambles all of your important files so you can't open them, and then demands you pay them a ransom to get everything back. It's literally the digital version of a kidnapping.
Then you've got spyware. This stuff is way sneakier. It gets onto your device and just watches. It quietly sits in the background, logging your keystrokes, watching what websites you visit, grabbing your passwords, and then sends all that juicy info back to the attacker. Creepy, right?
Okay, enough doom and gloom about the attackers. Let's flip the script and talk about how we fight back. Because good cybersecurity isn't just luck. It's built on a few really solid principles of defense. At the heart of it all is something called the CIA triad. And no, not that CIA. It stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means keeping secrets secret. Only the right people can see the data. Integrity means making sure the data is accurate and hasn't been tampered with. And availability, that just means the data is there when you actually need it. Every single security measure is a balancing act between these three things. To pull off that balancing act, defenders use a brilliant strategy called defense in depth. The whole idea is incredibly simple. Never, ever rely on just one single defense. Instead, you build layers of security, kind of like a medieval castle. If an attacker gets past the moat, they still have to deal with the main wall, then the inner wall, then the guards. You get the idea.
So what do those layers actually look like in the real world? It's time to open up the defender's arsenal and check out some of the go-to tools for building these defenses.
Okay, so let's start with a really basic problem. You've got your company network and you've got the entire internet. How in the world do you control who and what gets in? How do you guard the main gate?
Well, the answer is a firewall. Think of a firewall as the digital bouncer at the front door of your network. It stands there and inspects every single piece of data trying to get in or out. It has a strict guest list, a set of rules, and if you're not on the list, you're not getting in. But remember defense in depth? What happens if some malware is clever enough to sneak past that firewall? You can't just give up. You need another layer of protection inside the walls, on your actual computer.
And that's exactly what antivirus software is for. It's basically the immune system for your computer. It's constantly on the lookout for known threats, scanning files, and if it finds something nasty, it works to get rid of it before it can do any real damage. And what about protecting your actual accounts, like your email or your bank login? We all know passwords can be stolen. That's why multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is such a game changer. It means you have to prove who you are in at least 2 different ways. Not just something you know, like a password, but also something you have, like a code that gets sent to your phone. It makes it so much harder for a bad guy to get into your stuff.
So we've talked about the attackers, and we've talked about the professional defenders. But there is one more person on this battlefield who is absolutely critical, maybe the most important one of all.
And that person is you. Yep, cybersecurity is not just a job for the IT department. It's what we call a shared responsibility. Every single one of us who uses a phone or a computer has a part to play in keeping ourselves, our families, and our companies safe. We're all in this together.
So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. In this digital battle, we're all fighting every single day. All the fancy tech in the world isn't the most important thing. Your knowledge, your awareness, your habits, you are the first line of defense. So are you ready for the fight?